Parenting is built on lies. Santa Claus, real. Tooth Fairy, real. The robot, real. Everything is. Everything's a lie. I'm sorry to break to you.
The Eva is real, guys.
Everything is real aside from their relationship.
Ooh, not that.
Yeah. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Anime Club After Dark, the podcast that delves into all things anime, manga, and otaku culture related. I'm your host, Alex, but you can call me Senpai. And joining me tonight, we have our poser extraordinaire, Nitai. You feeling that good, huh?
It's great going to the gym, just getting your ass kicked for like an hour and a half, coming back home, taking a shit, take a shower, and being like, all right, shit, I need to record. And it's midnight already. And this day will never end.
Hey, think of it like this, right?
Yes.
You're doing your body good.
And you're doing your mind shit.
Exactly.
And we also have our chivalry of Shota's Shotaro.
Me babby uwu.
That's pretty much how you are in our D&D campaign right now.
Yeah, you should check it out on our Twitch channel.
Hey.
Twitch.tv/Anime Club After Dark.
Boy.
We stream every Saturday.
Good plug, my dude.
Nice plug. Good job. You're almost as good as me.
Honey, just give me D&D and I'm ready to advertise all day, every day.
I was waiting for another dick joke or whatever, but you surprised
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for one too, to be honest.
You surprised me.
Hey, he can surprise us sometimes. He's done it in the past. He'll do it again, I'm sure. But anyway, so the three of us have gotten together tonight to discuss something. I don't know if you call it important, but it's a thing. Because yesterday was Father's Day. At least it was in the U.S. I think in Canada too, right, Sho?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when Father's Day is in Israel, Natai.
I don't remember.
I'm assuming it's not this month because you would probably know.
Even if it was this month, I wouldn't put it past me to still forget about it.
Wow, poor Natai's father.
Oh boy. Anyway, moving
on.
Moving along.
So, in honor of it being Father's Day, we are going to be talking about some of anime's best, quote unquote, best dads. Not all of these dads we're going to talk about are going to be particularly stand-up characters.
Big air
but they are, yeah, big fucking air quotes. But they'll be fathers or father figures.
We were going to make it good fathers, but Nitai's like, no, I want to talk about the bad fathers too. So now we're just doing
Fuck you!
fathers.
Fuck you! Half of my list is about good dads. Fuck you, Sho.
I
mean, am I wrong? No. So sit down.
No, you're not.
And take it.
I am sitting down already, mister.
Good.
And I'll go ahead and start. I want to bring up two characters from the same show that both emphasize, well, one of them emphasizes probably one of the best, if not the best anime dad ever, and one of the worst, if not the worst anime dads
You
ever.
have two on your list from the same show. You're such a double dipping slut.
What a lazy fuck, Alex. Gee.
No, fuck you. It's a great opportunity to bring this up because it's great. I'm talking about Full Metal Alchemist, by the way. And it's a great way to show like the good writing that goes on because you got the best of the best and the worst of the worst in terms of fathers in the same show.
Just stroke Full Metal's dick harder.
I will always. I'm going to really think about how I'm going to word this.
Go on.
I will never miss an opportunity to talk about Full Metal Alchemist. because I genuinely love it. But no, like, okay, because you got the best in Maze Hughes. Like, I think a lot of people who watch it, and anime fans in general, will probably universally agree that Maze Hughes is one of, if not the best fathers in all of anime, right?
He's a great dad. He's a wonderful dad, yeah.
Constantly doting on his daughter, and he's good. By all accounts, he's a really good husband, too.
Oh, yeah. Just a great family man.
Yeah, and I think that's what you want in a good father figure as well. I mean, it's not a necessity to have that in a father figure, but it's certainly a plus to have them be just a general all-around good family man. And the fact that he does pretty much everything he does in the show for his family, and specifically for his daughter, because he says it like outright, like he's genuinely trying to make the country a better place for his daughter to live.
Yeah.
Which I think is admirable.
Mm-hmm.
Is that? Oh, never mind.
Oh no. Then on the other end of the spectrum, you have literal human filth called Shao Tucker.
Yep.
Like what can I say about Shao Tucker that hasn't been said a million other times before? He's a piece of shit. Like
nothing
he
like
genuinely
a dad
is sacrificing his.
Yeah, well, that's not. Okay. What he did, but
yeah,
it's not quite the word you're looking for, but sure.
Natai, you keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Why did I use bestiality aside from this instance? What are you talking about?
Oh, we've heard your private conversations.
We see your DM.
Lies.
I see what you're into.
This is a big ass lie. I don't know what you guys are talking about. I will not stand for this slander. Fuck you.
Show we got him. No, but Shao Tucker, like the dude uses his own daughter to further his own like goals, and like the fact that he can't come up with something unique and inspired in his own research it's not an excuse, but he does it anyway.
But if you love your child and your pet equally, what else can you do?
Oh god.
What if I take this thing I love and this thing I love and combine them? I got a thing I love even more, obviously.
Exactly.
By your powers combined, you are Captain Daughter.
But
it's amazing to me with Full Metal Alchemist how it was able to do this, how it was able to, and the thing is that both of these characters are introduced pretty early on in the story, and roughly, I would not right at the same time, but pretty close to each other, and it's just amazing how well developed they both are in terms of how good of a father and how bad of a father they each are. It's one of the I love Full Metal Alchemist for many, many reasons, but it's one of the reasons I love Full Metal Alchemist is how well developed these side characters are.
Yeah.
And I think the fathers of Maze Hughes and Shao Tucker are no exception to that.
And it ties back to one of the themes of the show, which is like bonds between family members, like the main characters are brothers and all of that. It just goes back and explores even more sides of that whole theme, because as you said, it takes the best and the worst of human natures in familial relationships and just takes them to the extreme, and it strengthens the show, and it's a great way to start the earlier parts of it, to just see all of that. It's FMA is a wonderful show, even the original, not only Brotherhood, but yeah, those relationships, especially between Maze and his family and Shao, it's so fucking incredible. Also, shoutouts to 2003 for later reintroducing Shao as an even weirder character. I don't know if you remember what he does in the later parts of the show, Alex.
I'm sorry. What were we talking about now?
FMA 2003.
Oh yes.
You remember
the difference between yes.
So later in the show, he comes back to some extent, and it's great. They explore that fucked up relationship he had with his daughter even more, and it's really creepy, and I love that as well. But yeah.
I mean, if it's really weird because the original Full Metal Alchemist, FMA 2003, definitely delves into him more so than Brotherhood.
Yeah,
and I always would say to people, I'd prefer if you watch Brotherhood first, because I think number one, I think the ending is a lot better, but I have to give the 2003 one props because I think, especially in its first, I'd say 20 episodes or so, it does a lot better job of introducing the characters and digging a little bit deeper into the side characters than
gives
the
them more
Brotherhood
time
did.
to breathe.
Although I understand why, because they both have similar episode counts, but they have to explore more story in Brotherhood, so they had to kind of rush through some of the earlier stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, obviously with Full Metal Alchemist, check out both.
Both are great.
If you never have. But yeah, that is one thing I will say that the original Full Metal Alchemist has over Brotherhood is that it takes especially these two characters, since they're both introduced pretty early on in the story, it takes their stories and really expands on them.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up. I mean, obviously, if we're talking about good fathers, just go with Mazeus. Shoutugger's be shit. To all you people out there that are going to listen to this and think we were going to meme our way through this, no.
I mean, you brought up the biggest memes. I know what you're talking about.
True, especially with someone else I'm about to talk about. But
Not that.
yeah, that's pretty much all I got for these two.
Okay. Who's next?
Natai.
Okay.
That was your cue to go.
Okay. I got you, fam. I got you. Well, who do I want to talk about first? So, a really great dad. Do I want to? You know what? No, fuck you two. I'll go with an actual great dad. So, kind of spoilers, I suppose. Not really. So, Rakugo Shinju. Fucking incredible show. One of my favorites. We all love it. It's awesome. In the second season, Yotaro, the main character, is a dad. And he's a wonderful dad. He, aside from being like the, as usual, the lovable sort of dumbass he is, he such a fun character to watch. Also be a real, responsible adult, actually, aside from being really kind of silly. I mean, he takes care of his family. One of my favorite moments in the entire show is him encouraging Konatsu, his wife, to actually perform Rakugo, which, at that time was a forbidden art for women to perform. And how he sort of encourages her and wants her to do it because he knows she is good and there's no reason for her not to do it. So that whole sort of arc he has with her is incredible. I love his relationship with his son and how he sort of cultivates, takes his son's passion for Rakugo and goes with it. He's not trying to stop him from loving this art, even though Yakumo, the older character, who's the protagonist of the first season, is sort of all at that point in his life is like, Rakugo is dead, he's gonna die with me, there's no reason to be excited about it and care about it, but Yotaro is like, no, Rakugo is awesome and we should take care of this art and try and innovate on it and make it even more known and more popular so more people can get into it, because if kids love it and adults love it, there's no reason not more of them will enjoy it. So aside from him being a great husband to Konatsu and a great dad to his son, he's just he's a great family man. I love him. He's a dumbass, but I absolutely love him, and it's great. It's really satisfying to see his relationship with his family as the show goes on. Yeah,
I would say for Yotaro in particular, as much of a good family man and a father figure as he is, he's also sort of a father figure for the art of Rakugo, especially in the second season. Yeah, because he's nurturing this along and he's trying to introduce it to a younger generation.
Yeah. For sure.
And it's cool. It's cool to watch. As I say, as much as he is a good father, he's also just trying to nurture this art. This let's be honest, a dying art along and show it to a new generation, and teach them about it. This is something we've said it before on this podcast. If you've never seen Rakugo Shinju,
go watch it.
My God, seriously, go watch it. It's not something I see talked about a lot, but it's something that more people should definitely watch. I think about it a lot like how I used to think of Baccano. Nowadays, a lot of people have watched Baccano, and it's gotten its due, I think, finally. but like there's still a lot of people who don't talk about Rakugo Shinju and how good that show is.
For real. No, Rakugo Shinju is incredible. Maybe a rewatch sometime in the future. Who knows? It's been a while.
You know, it's never a show we ever did a deep dive on with the podcast.
We did a
It might be
spoiler
something
cast
we
on
should
it
do.
ages ago.
Did we?
Yeah, when it finished airing, we actually recorded a podcast on it.
God, has it been that long? I don't remember.
Girl, it's been like so long.
I mean, bruh.
It's been like 4
winter
years. So yeah, I guess
2016.
yeah.
Or 2017.
Girl,
Yeah, it-
5. Oh, okay, 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a little while, but I don't know. Maybe it's something we need to go do another deep dive on because like I feel like it never got its due when it was airing. But yeah, Yotaro's great.
Yep.
Like he's introduced as this like bumbling idiot kind of character.
He's like
but he
his
grows into
introduction
this,
is when he finished his jail sentence, his time in prison. So you're like, oh, he's like a
Yeah.
criminal, but it's like, no, he's a lovable idiot.
Yeah. But it's really cool, especially like you say in the second season, to actually watch him grow into this really responsible, caring adult.
Yeah.
I love Yotaro. It's one of the best things about that entire show.
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
All right, show.
Well, let's talk about one of the worst father figures compared to Yotaro, which I'm gonna talk about Grisha Yeager from Attack on Titan,
Oh,
which
Lord.
I'm gonna try my darndest to say as little spoilers as I possibly can and be as vague as I possibly can. But it's really hard, but probably there will be very few spoilers. So particularly in the final season, we got to see scenes of Grisha Yeager and how he raises his son. And it's honestly one of the most interesting, like, scenes or, series of episodes or, like, just, like, arcs. Really, it's a really interesting arc to watch because you go into so much psychological detail about how his parenting affects his son, and like you see how the son is growing up and how his personality develops because of how his father parents him. And it's a really in-depth portrayal of like a father-son relationship that's horrible. But it really like illuminates how the son grows up and how the son is currently, and like how like all the characters got to how they currently are. And it's not only is it like really detailed and everything, but it's just really enjoyable to watch and really like captivating. So that arc in and of itself is just such a great arc. And like even though he's like a horrible father, like literally one of the worst fathers, it was really great to watch. So I really love that. I know I don't know what y'all think about it, but
Well, when I first suggested we do this topic, one of the things I did is I went and looked up online a couple of different like top 10, top 15, top 20 lists of best anime fathers, and Grisha Yeager was on every single one of them, and I'm thinking,
wait,
how?
as a good father? Well, how old
Yes,
are those
as a
lists?
good father.
Yeah, that's from.
And I'm thinking, how do you actually think this is a good... This dude, no matter what else he did, this dude literally forcibly injected his own son to turn him into a monster. And I know some of you are going to say, but if he didn't do that, his son would have died. I think given everything that came afterwards, death might have been preferable.
Okay, Alex.
I don't know about that.
But I agree.
But like he
But
wasn't even
just the idea of forcibly injecting your son and forcing him to become something against his will, that's not a good father.
he wasn't even that good of a father in the first season. I think he's on the list because Attack on Titan is a popular show and he's a dad. So
I mean, yeah, I guess that is one thing you can say about him. He's a biological father. If that's your criteria for being a good father, I guess he deserves to be on the list.
But I agree with the show. It's like, especially with the angle we saw his character in the final season, it was really great because you got a certain picture of the man while watching, especially the third season, where we got more of his past and why he acted the way he did and how he ended up the way he did. And you're like, okay, I might not like the guy, but I understand where he came from. And then you flip that whole story on its head. It's like, oh shit. Like it's even more questionable. The actions they did, they are even more questionable. It's great writing all around. I agree. It's really great.
Well,
It's awesome.
okay, well, to be fair, like, after the final season, like, seeing all the horrible things that Grisha did in detail, and then looking back at how he was in the first seasons, like, he made a big character change around, and he's, like, a much better person, even though we didn't get much detailed about how his life was in the first seasons. We can just,
but it still
can
did
just
what it did in the
assume.
past.
But yeah, like, so, like, considering that, like, he changed his life around, then you could see that's a respectable father in that way, but, like, not. The problem with that is that, like, we don't get details to see it happen, so, like, that's not not the best.
How he ends up on so many top 10, top 20 lists of best anime fathers, I'll never know.
Also, Alex outing himself for outsourcing his creative talent to top 10 lists.
Shit.
How
Outsource
how
anything,
Alex
that means I don't have to work as hard.
how Alex does research for the show, watch Mojo before every episode.
No, no, fuck that. I will 100% say, as much as I looked at other people's lists of anime fathers, I never once touched anything Watch Mojo did.
Right.
No, fuck that. I may be useless, but I'm not that useless.
Sure, Aqua. Sure.
Wow. Anyway, all right, well, if we're going to talk about bad fathers, I got another one I can talk about.
Another meme that you got off a top 10 list.
No, yes, exactly. Natai, get in the robot or show's going to have to do it again.
No, Dad, no.
No, I mean, Gendo's a piece of shit, right? Can we all agree?
Yeah, he is. It's like, there's no question about it. Like, even when you understand his actions, you're like, well, you did, it's kind of your fault. You cunt.
Yeah, like, the more that gets revealed about his motivations, I'm like, none of this is exonerating you. You're still a piece of shit.
Yep.
Like, dude, your son is standing right in front of you, and you're basically just telling him, go along with it. It'll all be all right. And it's not going to be all right. You know it's not going to be all right, but you're fucking lying to him.
Honey, parenting is built on lies. Santa Claus, real. Tooth Fairy, real. The robot, real. Everything is... Everything's a lie. I'm sorry to break it to you.
The Eva is real, guys.
Everything is real aside from their relationship.
Ooh, not that.
Yeah. I don't know. Shinji's relationship with his hand is pretty real.
Oh, no, don't bring that up, please.
I wonder if he learned that from his father, too.
Oh, my God. I just had
you
a
went too
picture of...
far.
I just have a picture of Gendo jerking off over the Ava robot.
I'm so fucked up.
I hate myself. Oh, excuse me.
My siege shall grow this robot.
No, excuse me. I'm the lowest of the lows.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, we can't say I'm so fucked up anymore.
Thanks, Netflix.
Thank you, Netflix. Thank you, Netflix, for teaching us all the true line.
Yeah.
I mean, in their defense, it is actually what he says in Japanese.
But yeah, Gendo is like, again, like I love the story they build and the writing with his character, but it's so effective at getting you to hate him, and even when you understand him, you understand, but you still hate him because he's that piece of a shit, you know?
Oh yeah, he's a terrible father, but he's a well-written terrible father.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
I
the fucking.
that.
I love his scenes, and especially in the end of Ava. Like, all of his scenes are so good, especially his final scene where he's realizing how pathetic he is. He's realizing all his mistakes, and it's like, it's too late, man. It's too late for you. It's It's a
Yeah,
great
I mean
scene.
that was great though. Like that whole realization where he goes through like all the stages of grief in like 5 minutes.
Pretty much.
That was great. And I know it's a meme of Gendo being a good father. Like, yeah, I get it, but he's really not. He is compelling though. As a father character, he is a compelling
for sure.
character. And like watching, I don't think there's any other way you can describe his relationship with Shinji other than abusive.
Yeah.
Like, but it's still compelling as hell to watch, even all these years later. I think it is, at least. It's a big part of the reason why I think Eva is one of the best anime ever made.
Shoutouts to
Thank you, Ano, for your depression.
Shoutouts for the iconic pose with the crossed hands.
Oh yeah, and the crossed hands and like the shiny glasses. I don't know if that was the first time the shiny glasses ever came around. I feel like it was. If it wasn't, it was one of the first. So I don't know if it started that meme.
I feel like
but
the first anime in the production had shiny glasses.
I don't know. Like, I definitely feel like it was the anime that made that popular, though. I don't know, there's something about that.
One of the
so
most iconic.
Him
yeah.
just sitting there.
It is iconic.
Yeah, it's one of the most iconic poses in anime, with him just sitting at the table with his arms like or his fingers interlocked in front of him, and him just resting his chin on his arm or on his hands. Like,
it is iconic.
I don't know. There's something about that pose that's so iconic.
Honey, call the runways. He's a fashion icon.
Oh my god.
He's a fashion icon. I don't know if that has anything to do with fashion as much as it does, like, I don't know I guess posing, I guess, is part of fashion.
Exactly.
But...
He's a model. He's a diva.
Well, wouldn't that, since it's a close up of his hands and his face, wouldn't that make him a hand model?
No, it's all about the face, girl.
Okay.
Showcasing
the
them
hands
gloves,
just accentuate it.
Yeah, it's all about them gloves, man.
Oh yeah. No skin on skin action, sorry.
This has been a weird discussion. Anyway, I would
moving
along. I would like to talk about another great dad. I want to talk about ACAD from Vinland Saga.
Oh my god!
This is not a meme. This is not a meme. I mean,
wait, it's
not an actual father, but
not actual father figure, if you will.
Well, that we don't even know if that's true or not. He could actually be a father, like a biological father, because he is a Viking.
He probably is a father to someone.
Yeah,
to someone out there,
and to Thorfinn. I mean, yeah, there's no other way to describe it as other than a fucked up father-son relationship that Thorfinn and Askeladd has, at least from Thorfinn's perspective. I mean, say what you will about Askeladd, only because of his actions and how much Thorfinn hates him, that's what kept Thorfinn alive and turned him into the man he is in the show. For better or for worse, mostly for the worst, obviously, but it is a fascinating relationship, and because again, Askeladd could have truly abandoned him anytime, and he tried. Actually, he could have killed him many times, and he didn't, because I mean, there's a question, there's a discussion to be made about whether he did care about Thorfinn or not. I mean, by the end of the show, it's kind of made clear that he didn't, I guess, but still, there's a slight chance that there's a possibility that maybe he did. I don't know. Their relationship is the crux of the first season. I mean, for now, the only season, and I don't know. I find the relationship really fascinating. I was wondering, what did you two think about it?
Askeladd's one of the best parts of Vinland Saga.
For
at least
sure,
the first of what I hope to be multiple seasons.
Well, yeah, because he's the most interesting character in that season.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are other good characters in Vinland Saga for sure, but the relationship dynamic between Askeladd and Thorfinn is what drives the whole show, or at least that season, and it's so fun to watch. And it's weird because Thorfinn hates Askeladd so much for what he's done.
Yeah.
And I can definitely understand it, but at the same time, Askeladd's almost acting like a mentor figure toward him throughout this thing.
Thanks to him, he knows all the skills he knows. It's only thanks to him that he made it this far in this really cruel world. You know?
Yeah.
It's a really, it's a really awkward. Wait, go ahead. Continue your thought.
I was gonna say, like, it's just it shows that Askeladd is bad and as crappy as some of the stuff that he does to other people is. Like, he still has a sense of honor, because like Natalia says, he could have killed him very easily at any time between, you know, when he meets Thorfinn and when, you know, at the end of the season.
Yeah.
To try and avoid spoilers. But he doesn't. And he lets Thorfinn keep gaining skills as a fighter and just getting better and better by watching and by doing. And like, all you're doing is making it easier for him to kill you, you know, later down the road, because, you know, you Askeladd, you're not getting any younger.
But like the great payoff, it's one of the best parts of the show. Obviously, the ending itself, it's such a great payoff to everything that came before. It's how sort of Askeladd turns to Thorfinn and sort of in some way like tells him it's kind of pathetic that you made your whole life's purpose to try and get me, and like Thorfinn sort of turned it into this sort of father-son relationship in his head, you could say, because it is kind of pathetic, but it's still super fascinating to think about it, you know, because I mean he is a kid, so he doesn't know anything. Obviously, but
yeah,
I don't know. I just find the relationship super fascinating. It's great.
Generally, as a character, Askeladd's one of the most compelling characters in anime that I've seen in a while.
He's a very interesting character, and frenemies in general are a really interesting relationship to have. And like Thorfinn's thoughts, or like the way he thinks of Askeladd is really strange, because like if he wanted to kill Askeladd, like he could have just poisoned him or whatever, or done it in like a dishonorable way. But so it's like, honestly, he doesn't really want to kill Askeladd. He wants Askeladd's respect, which means that like he kind of, in order to want someone's respect, that means you have to respect them. So there is like some sort of relationship there, and it's super complicated.
But he also wants to enjoy like his revenge on him, right? That's even more so for him. Like he doesn't want to just kill him. He wants to kill him on his own terms. That's also like a big
Which
part
sounds
of it.
like a convoluted way. It's just, it sounds like he doesn't actually want to kill him.
It just sounds like how a child would think about it. It's a child thinking, I want to kill you. You caused me this like harm. I want to get back at you on my terms, because Thorfinn is a child. He's a stupid child. That's like it's like one of the points of the show. He is a dumb child at the end of the day.
To me, that means like that he doesn't want to kill him. He just wants his respect. But
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's a really interesting relationship for sure.
Mm.
And you know he's a good dad because his name rhymes with dad. So
I thought he is a great lad because he rhymes with lad.
I hate it.
And I personally like Askeladd. So in Vinland Saga, at least in the first season, he's the only fictional character. I mean, they're all fictional characters,
Wait,
obviously.
I thought
Isn't he based on
someone.
character?
He is based on a character that shows up in multiple Norse legends. I almost said Norse legends. There's a character named Askeladd that shows up in a bunch of myths in Norse mythology,
but not in history.
But all the other characters, pretty much all the other characters in Vinland Saga are people that actually existed.
I mean, what is history but just a fictional story? What is reality?
What is a man?
What is a lad? What is a father? Anyways. Speaking of...
You have someone else from Vinland Saga.
Speaking of Vinland Saga, we can talk about the real best dad of that show, which is Thor's, obviously, even though he doesn't get as much screen time as ACAD. He is clearly the biological father of Thorfinn, and therefore the real best dad of the show.
The real daddy.
Oh, yeah.
A buff daddy.
Oh my. No, he has like, I don't know how many episodes, maybe like the first 3 episodes or something, where we get to see him in all his glory. And like, he has his own story arc. That's one thing that I really like in parents in general and dads, is when you portray them as their own unique character. They have a personality, they have an arc, they have development, blah 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 blah. Like, once you have that, then it's an interesting character in general, and like also a father. So like Thor's like had a life before his son, and then, you know, his current life is much different than the personality he had in his past life, and you can see how he is trying to raise his son, and it's like a really admirable way, what the way he's trying to raise his son, even though like his son is like being very rebellious. And in general, it's just like an interesting and fun relationship. It's very slice of life to watch like the rebellious son and the like dutiful father clash and try to make it work. And then it just culminates at the end in a really like amazing climax for that arc, that makes you really respect Thor, and makes you, it really just like, it's, I guess it's the premise of the show, and it kind of propels Thorfinn to go on his adventure. So honestly, that again, that was a great arc, great character. I love the development. Best dad, best bro, best man, best husband.
Yeah.
You know, as good of a father as Thor's was portrayed in Finland Saga, he just genuinely seems like he'd be a great person to get a beer with.
Now that is a great lad, just saying, yeah.
That any character like that, I definitely want to meet. Nah, Thor is like, I completely agree with everything you just said. Like, I don't think I could have said it better myself. Like, the way they go about the portrayal of Thor's in Finland Saga, it's so good. Like, and it's amazing because he's on screen for so comparatively little time.
Mm-hmm. Also, like,
especially compared to Askeladd.
It's also like the values that he tries to like teach his son are so, it's kind of heartbreaking to see as the show goes on. Like, you think about what he tried to teach Thorfinn. You're like, no, what? Think about your dad. No, don't do this. Don't break his heart. Don't break my heart. No. It's a great.
I feel like it would have been better if they just had like a Lion King thing, like with the Mufasa ghost in the background, like, no, son.
No, instead we got Thorkill screaming, Thorfinn!
Now there's the daddy. Oh man, yeah, Thor's is great. Like I said, it's so little screen time, but such a well-developed character for how little you actually see him. And it's the one thing I like about fathers, parents in general in anime or in any kind of fiction, is I don't like it when the parents are basically portrayed as larger versions of the children that they have, because that's just lazy writing. When you actually have the parents, and particularly fathers, with their own like sense of morality, their own like sense of maturity, their own personalities that are kind of like their children but very, very distinct. Like, I love that, and that's definitely something you can say about Thor's in Vinland Saga. Like, you can tell that he's Thorfinn's father, but they're very different people.
So
yeah.
Thor's is like the moral compass of the show, I guess, because I don't think like any other character really has
a moral compass.
Much of a moral compass. And
Leif Erikson does.
That's true, but he's not relevant.
Wow.
Anyways,
you gotta do my boy Leif like that. That's mean. That's fucking wow.
And I've heard a lot of people on forums like complaining about that, because they say that the author is like writing anachronistically, and that like Vikings wouldn't have those kind of morals, and that this is like portraying Vikings from a modern lens and it's not historically accurate, which I see. I definitely do see it, and I do.
Have they heard
Like,
about the word fiction?
Yes, I understand this is a fiction, but it is a historical fiction, and like, I mean, the line that you toe between accuracy and historical fiction is very blurry, so that's fair. But I will say that, you know, reading and watching Vinland Saga, there are points where like the morality gets a little much, and it does feel a little anachronistic, which is kind of not the best part of it. So
yeah, you know what, I can see where they're coming from, and I do generally agree. But to be fair to Vinland Saga, the creator of Vinland Saga has never once stated that this is supposed to be based on a true story. He has stated that they are real. It's based on people that actually existed, but he's never said that it's based on a true story.
But just writing in the historical fiction genre, like the appeal of that is how much accuracy you want to put in it.
And you definitely invite discussions of that anytime you say that the genre you're writing in is historical fiction, because you're always going to get people that go, well, actually, people didn't speak or act like this back then.
Actually, the Norse people didn't speak Japanese.
That's very true.
Beat me to it.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I mean, is it anachronistic? Yeah, it's probably very anachronistic. There's probably very little in the show that there's probably very little actions that people do in the show that are 100% reminiscent of how they would have acted back in the day. But does that make it any less enjoyable to me? No, it doesn't. You can still have a good story. You can still have a good historical fiction story and be anachronistic.
For sure.
It's the question of, does it serve the story and the characters that the author is trying to tell? And yes or no, that's up to you, obviously. But I think if it does, then great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What I think what we're all...
And that to me is more important than anything.
I think the main takeaway from the past 15 minutes is that you all should watch Vinland Saga in case you haven't, because it's
it's
great.
very good.
Absolutely.
It's
Highly
really good.
recommend.
Absolutely.
Yep. Anyway.
Oh, I guess it's my turn
Yeah.
now, isn't it? Well, I don't know if we should end it here, but I definitely want to talk about someone who's very, very wholesome, who definitely deserves to be mentioned in the discussion for best anime fathers. And this is definitely not a meme. I'm being 100% serious about this, and that's Kohei Inuzuka from Sweetness and Lightning. Like, my God, could you ask for a better father? Again, this is a slice of life I highly recommend if you've never seen the anime or read the manga. The manga is just, I mean, sweetness is in the name, and it earns that title because it's sweet as hell every single chapter. But I mean, Kohei is the reason I love it is because in anime in particular, and fiction in general, there are so few depictions of single fathers, right? Particularly good single fathers, and even less so single fathers to a daughter. And I think that's something that Sweetness and Lightning does well, is showing this father-daughter dynamic between a single father and his daughter, and the different challenges that brings being a single parent to an opposite sex child. I think there's a lot you can do with that, and Sweetness and Lightning does it so well. It shows both the good that can come from it and the bad, or I will say the struggles that can come from it day to day with having to raise a child who, by yourself, who is going to go through a lot of biological changes that you can't relate to personally.
Have you read the manga?
I have.
Okay, because I don't think in the show they don't really address like the biological specificities of growing up as a woman.
No. They don't really do that in the manga either. I mean, they do occasionally. I'm just saying, like, in general, that's something that isn't really explored very often. And just this idea of a single father raising a daughter is something you don't see very often, and it's why I like Sweetness Lightning so much.
Not gonna lie, I just spaced out for a minute, then I came back to show talking about specificity of growing woman, something. I'm like, wait, what are we talking about again? What?
Sweetness and Lightning.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
I was like, my brain was trying to like connect the dots between Sweetness and Lightning and whatever the fuck you were talking about.
oh, shut
Sorry.
up. Is blame Alex. He's the one who brought it up. But
Wow.
okay, but like the
It wasn't
stuff.
gonna stop you from blaming me anyway.
That's true. The stuff in Sweetness and Lightning, like, I mean, if the kid was a boy, wouldn't it be like the same?
I think it would change the dynamic of the relationship.
Would it? Because she's literally so young that like it's literally the same personality. Like, gender doesn't really matter.
No, it's not.
That does not how
You
that
okay,
works.
Natai?
No, I'm just like if I was.
I like how it's just the noises that are coming from you
I'm
right now
just
are really
I'm
concerning.
just trying to like make an audible sound of like if me and Cho were in the same room, I would just given him that anime stare of just like no.
I don't know. I'm just thinking of like the similar show Poco's Udon World, and like Poco and whoever the sweetness lady is, they're literally the same character. Like there's not much difference.
I think there's definitely a difference.
Okay.
It's like saying kids are the same if whether they're boys or girls because they're kids.
That's what I was saying.
But it's not. That's not how kids work in real life. What do you mean?
I mean,
Yeah.
at that age,
No, it's still they're not the same. What do you mean?
if you say so.
Have you seen kids?
Yeah, like girls. I'm gonna generalize a little bit here. I'm gonna say in general, girls tend to be more like curious and like inquisitory when they're really young, and boys just like to break shit and do like rough and tumble play. Like that's the big difference.
I wouldn't go that far, but I wouldn't say they're like the same because that's no. What? No.
If you say so.
Do you really think that all little children are the same?
I think that a little boy can act like a little girl, and a little girl can act like like at that age. I don't think your gender defines how you act.
It doesn't completely define it, but it certainly informs it.
Yeah. What do you mean?
I don't think so, but that's fine. We can agree to disagree.
It's just what? What do you mean?
I always know when Natai is genuinely confused because his voice gets really high. Like, what do you mean?
Honestly, when I'm watching stuff like Sweetness and Lightning and Poco's Udon World, the fact that they're a little boy and a little girl is completely irrelevant to me. Like, it would be literally the same experience if they were a different gender.
This is
For
fiction.
me personally, because the stuff in the show to me is not particular to their gender. Yes, you can do a show that's particular to the gender of a child, but the stuff in these shows to me were not particular to a gender. But sure,
I don't know. Just the way that the little girl Tsumuki, the way she forms the relationship with the student whose name I forget. In the restaurant, like I feel like that would have played out so differently if it had been a little boy than a little girl.
you're free to have that opinion. I don't have that opinion.
It's also worth mentioning with Poco's Udon World, which you mentioned, the father figure in that show is a guy, and the kid is a guy.
Is a kid.
A boy. A boy.
It's like the kid is a guy.
The kid is a guy. Give him a beer. He'll be fine.
What was the name of that song? The lady is a white shit. Fuck.
Dude looks like a lady.
Dude looks like a lady.
By Aerosmith.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know. I guess we just have a very different opinion about that. But no, it's one of the things that I do love about Sweetness and Lightning, though, is that portrayal of a single father with a daughter. Like it to me, I think that the way the father goes about raising his daughter, where he tries to be as interactive with his daughter as possible, especially when it comes to cooking, which is something that when he was married and had a wife is something that he never really did, and it's something that he actively goes out of his way to learn how to do it for his daughter. Like that to me is really, really sweet, and it's a really great way to portray a single father going the extra mile for his kid.
I'm sorry for not adding much because I just haven't seen the show, so I honestly don't know.
Fair enough. I do highly recommend it if you're looking for a show out there that's really sweet, it's really wholesome, and has just some really cute father-daughter moments in it. I highly recommend Sweetness Lining. I also highly recommend the manga because it has one of the best payoff endings for a slice of life manga that I've ever read.
How long is the manga?
Oh, that's a good question. I forget off the top of my head how many chapters it has.
Okay, is it long?
Compared to
Ballpark.
other slice of lives that I've read, no.
500 chapters, 100 chapters.
Hold on. I will tell you in
Oh
a
my
second. I'll
God.
look it up.
Like, it's not like I read a lot of manga, but maybe.
63 chapters.
Oh, that's
That's
short.
nothing. Yeah, that's actually
Yeah, like I said, I've read slice of lives that are way longer than that.
Girl, I
so.
could read that on the toilet between recordings.
pretty. Dude, that
Yeah,
sounds
right.
like a really chill read, actually. Yeah,
And it's completed. It was finished in 2018. So
I'm down to give it in a shot sometime. Yeah, cool.
yeah, you should. It's great, and the anime is a really good adaptation, I think.
Nice.
But I think that might be a good place to wrap this up.
Sure.
yeah.
I wanted to wrap this up on something wholesome,
I'm still confused.
not
so I don't
something
know how
sad, and not something
you know.
memey, and not a terrible father. Something wholesome.
We did it, guys.
We did it.
We.
All right. With that, thank you out there for dropping in to listen to us. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there who are listening to this. Check the description below to find links to Anime Club After Dark on Twitch, on social media, and on Discord. Check out our merch store and our affiliate links as well. Any purchases you make there do really help us out. I actually very recently added some stickers of the chibi versions of our avatars that you see on our Twitch channels. So that's up there now. With that, I have been your host, Alex, and I will see you next time. Say goodnight, everybody.
Thanks,
All
Dad,
the
for
daddies.
getting me. Fucking hey! Ah, boys and girls are the same as kids, right? Sure. Okay.
Girl.
I'm still confused.
Can't say that. I can't say that in 2021, honey.
Canceled.
Thanks, Dad.